Come on, Max. He's a good boy. Good boy, Max. Let's do it. Come on, sweetheart. There's a good boy. He's a good boy. I know, you see? It's okay. Nobody's going to hurt you, sweetheart. This dog I confiscated 3 years ago from its owners because they had it tied up in the middle of a field in the sun. He was emaciated. They would only throw him scraps of food. He was in a terrible condition. When I went to him to see him, I couldn't get near him. He was so aggressive. He's a pedigree English pointer. He was tied up outside in the middle of a field on a long chain in a stake or to a stake from 3 months old. He was 3 years when I was finally informed about the situation. I confiscated him, brought him here. He's still not come fully around. He's progressed a lot. We can touch him. We couldn't get near him in the beginning, to give him food. As soon as we entered the kennel to give him food, I mean, he would go for us and we just have to throw the dish on the floor. Now, of course, he's completely different. He has food issues still, slightly, but he's come a long way. We're trying to rehome him now, so we're trying to get over the last hurdle of his fears, and that is getting him into a kennel. He won't go into a kennel anymore. As a child growing up, I never had any contact with animals other than what I saw around me, what the locals used to do with animals, which were not nice things, terrible things. Then when I grew up and went to England, anywhere I used to go in a house with animals, they used to naturally come to me. A dog would want to try and get my attention, but I never paid any attention. A house with birds, a parrot that used to be just flying in the room would come and perch on my shoulder, and I didn't know why, Then when I went to Canada to live, because I was alone, I decided to adopt a dog, and from there on, my first animal that I'd ever had, and I was about 27 at the time. That's when it all began. To maintain a shelter of this size and to be able to offer the animals a lifeline, a continuous lifeline from the streets to the safety of the shelter, we need the support of the general public. Mummy and puppies were dumped outside the shelter. They were tied up outside a tree further down the path. The puppies were just in a box. They were a month old. Baby, and you really trust me, don't you? Really trust me, little girl. I know, little girl. I know, little babies. Look at the little babies. We have animals that have been here for a long time and probably have no way of being adopted in the future for many reasons, whatever. So the shelter becomes their permanent home. Then when I moved to Cyprus, I brought my dog with me. And then I started to see the way animals were kept here. Small cages, couldn't get up, and the police never took any notice of it because there were no laws in place. Nobody knew that animals had any rights. So I started to help them on my own. And everybody in my neighborhood who knew I was an animal lover used to come and bring me their dogs if they didn't want them, or they used to tell me that there's a stray dog at such and such a place, can you go and pick it up? And I did. And then when I had my own children, when they grew up and they were playing, one of them in particular, my son, He used to go out in the field specifically looking for stray dogs and to bring them home. And we looked after them and we rehomed them. From there on, I wanted to progress and help the animals in a bigger way because of the necessity here. There were no organizations then, no shelters to look after the animals. So they were just at the mercy of anybody. As if you want to own a dog, you should get permission first to own a dog. In other words, the local authority or whichever body is in place at the time, you make application to own a dog to the local authority, and they come and inspect your home, and if the conditions are right for you to own that dog, and you are sure you want to own that dog, and not for any reason as, it's a present for my children, or it's a fad, a passing phase, then you don't get it. Education is what is needed here. And of course, we're starting now with the schools, educating within the schools. We give lectures at the shelter itself, children come and visit, and then afterwards we talk about animal welfare, responsible ownership, spaying and neutering, the importance of spaying and neutering, and that the animal has to be kept in its according to its physiological and ethological needs, not just put in a cage, but that's all they know. All they've been experienced before is from their fathers, grandfathers, the way they treated animals. They've had nothing, nothing to teach them how to look after the animal and what is necessary. The government, this is the government's job, education, but it's fallen on our shoulders. We are stewards of God's creation. Therefore, we look after these animals. We don't own them. We can't do what we like with them. You can't even do what you like with your own children, let alone these dogs. We have to get it into their heads that these animals are not our private and personal ownership to do as we like. They're not our chattels. They are creations of God. We are stewards to look after them. And this is what we're trying to get through to them. And they have to be looked after, okay? And not just used and abused the way they are now. That's the message we're trying to get through to people.